doing bad. We didn't have money, we didn't travel, we didn't do nice things, we couldn't afford a lot of the basic things. We struggled a lot. I arrive in Italy, 8 days after, I get thrown out in the street. He gave me like a room in the back of the restaurant. On the back of the restaurant, we had like the public showers and some toilets, and one of those doors was my new home. I cannot deny it. I was afraid that they would die before I made it back, Finally coming back to Venezuela. And then when I come into the house, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? The house destroyed.
This episode is sponsored by the Luxury Playbook, a digital publication that empowers you to achieve your luxury goals through data-backed articles in real estate, investing, and entrepreneurship. The Luxury Playbook is an online resource providing daily updates on essential information. Visit theluxuryplaybook.com today and gain the insights necessary to jumpstart your journey to success in real estate, investing, and entrepreneurship.
Hi guys, welcome to the Resilient Lounge podcast, where we showcase stories of individuals who have triumphed over life's challenges to achieve remarkable success. Now, it is important to recognize that resilience is not something we are born with, but rather a life skill we learn along the way of our life's purpose. I'm your host, Emma April, and joining me today is Stefano Treviso, a resilient guest with an extraordinary journey to share. Stefano is not only the author of Zero to Dubai, but also someone who has risen from homelessness to owning his first property in Dubai. His journey from a broke immigrant sleeping on a beach to turning his dreams to reality is truly remarkable, and I'm excited for you to hear it. I'm so excited to speak to him today. Stefano, hi. Welcome to our first episode of the Resilient Lounge. Hey.
Hi, Emma. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
How are you, Steph? How is everything?
Oh, I'm very good. I'm happy to be on your podcast. And I gotta say, I love the logo. Okay, it's brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much. It took me about 2 weeks to get this in, but it's finally here and ready for the very first podcast. So great. Right.
Honor.
Steph, in my intro right now, I introduced that you wrote a book called Zero to Dubai. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, the super crazy life story that I had, right? Because let's think about it for a second. I was just a normal kid in Venezuela. Like, I went through a bunch of stuff. Then I end up homeless in Italy. And all that journey from point A to point B was insane. So I knew I had to share that journey. I just never got around to the point of sitting down and writing the book. Up until a few months ago, I had a car accident that made me wake up and say, hold on, you never know when it's going to be too late. And this is something I really wanted to do. I wanted to share that journey to inspire other people and motivate them to fight in life, to never give up, to fight for what they truly want.
I don't know if this is the right thing to say or not. He did grow up in not great circumstances, but really has triumphed and succeeded buying his first property in Dubai. And when I read the book, you did go through a lot of stuff and you had to cope with a lot of traumatizing things as well. So how does your story begin and where do we begin?
So Venezuela, it's true, it's not a developed place, right? It's not the US or Spain, etc. But Venezuela itself as a country is one of the most wealthy countries in the world in terms of resources and everything. Now, we, the Venezuelans, we are poor, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of us, we are poor, okay? But the country is quite wealthy. And yet, mysteriously enough, I think it's the third country in the world with the most amount of private jets registered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a very crazy place with a lot of good things, also a lot of bad things. It's a very misunderstood place. So part of my story as well, maybe gonna shine some light on those topics because it's very interesting. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Venezuela. I'm from Greek, Italian, Venezuelan, and mixed family, okay? Everyone in Venezuela, a lot of people are mixed. We're from everywhere. Around the 1940s, 1950s, there was a lot of immigration from Europe, right? After Europe was torn into pieces, everybody was running to Venezuela to start a life. So we have a lot of people from Greece, from Italy, from Spain, from Portugal, from everywhere you can imagine. So my story starts in Venezuela. I was born under a family who was doing quite well in the beginning, but then due to a lot of complicated life circumstances and many difficult events because of the country, because of family itself, and many reasons, I grew up poor, right? Poor, but living in a nice house, which my grandfather bought for my mother. So I had at least, thank God, a decent house to live, but we didn't have any money, right? And it's a country that's complicated to make it forward, especially when you don't have money on the back. Let's say, as a doctor, you can't go work in the public sector. My parents are doctors. A doctor in the public sector can make like $10 per month salary, so they're basically starving, right? But then a private doctor in some other place, then he can be making $200,000 a month. It's a very strange place with a lot of mixed realities.
Right.
It's a country where there is no collective reality. It's bubbles everywhere. A circle of people are doing good, then a big part of the country is doing bad. It depends on where you are. I was a hybrid between the bubbles, okay? But in the end, we were doing bad. We didn't have money, we didn't travel, we didn't do nice things, we couldn't afford a lot of the basic things. We struggled a lot. During those early years, I did everything you can imagine as a teen. I started cooking brownies and selling them. I sold woman purses, anything you can imagine, I tried to make money. And then as I grew even more, I sold water, medical equipment, coffee, everything you can imagine. But I was a big believer and I loved my country, but the country was very difficult. We suffer from something called hyperinflation. People in Europe nowadays, they are like, oh yeah, we hit inflation 3%, 4%, or in the US, oh my God, 8%. And I'm like, 8%, that's a good afternoon for us in Venezuela, In those times, in 2017, 18, Venezuela hit rock bottom. Like, imagine, like, I don't know, it's 2 p.m., you bought cheese, it's $10, and it's 4 p.m., now cheese is $15. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? Like, and because our currency was devaluing at an exponential and daily rate. So when I was trying to do business, I was struggling. It was impossible.
Does this happen like every day?
It happened on a daily basis before. Now we stabilized a little bit more. Okay,
Right.
Now we are much more stable. For example, inflation last year, I think it was 400%, 300%, and we are all happy about it because it's actually a great number in comparison to where we're coming from, okay? It's quite complicated, the currency game and how things turned out. So what happened is I realized, okay, I really have no more options. Things are going down. My money's disappearing. I don't know what else to do. We don't have like a strong family financial background. Nobody, my parents need my help. What do I do? Okay, there is no more option but to go. So like me, many Venezuelans left the country to try to find a better life in many different places, okay? So remember, when you meet somebody from Venezuela abroad, most likely 99.9% you're meeting someone who had to leave home. He didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave my Caribbean life, the dancing, the good mood, the perfect weather. It's like 24 to 27 all year long, only rain and sun, no winter. I didn't want to leave that, okay?
That's beautiful.
But we had to leave. We had no choice but to leave.
Venezuela also does have beautiful beaches too, I must say. But it's such a shame, that you guys have to leave. You have to leave because of your hyperinflation and, the country's not doing well for their people too. So
Yeah.
it is sad. Yeah.
Well, we had no choice, so a lot of us had to leave. I was one of them in 2017. So armed with a bag and 400 euros and just courage, we started making some phone calls and trying to find who was going to help me arrive. I have an Italian passport, thank God. So we found a cousin who was going to host me in Italy and said, hey, Stefano, come here and start your life. You can stay with us for 3 months and we're going to help you find a job and, get your life started. Okay, let's do this. I arrive in Italy. 8 days after, I get thrown out in the street. Family is not made by blood. It's made by action. Some people have ill hearts and they don't have good intentions. What I understood from my time there is that they perhaps thought I was a rich oil Venezuelan prince or something, but they realized that they just welcomed a very dirt, poor, broke immigrant and they were not good people. So they simply realized when there was nothing to extract from me that I should be discarded and that's it. And I got discarded in a very ugly way. It was a Thursday evening, very late. And I remember the relatives saying, you need us. We don't need you. Get out. On a Thursday evening to wait with my bags, like a chicken, like all night on a sofa for it to become morning so I could leave the house with little money again. So I had nowhere to go and 10,000, I don't know how many kilometers, 8,000 kilometers away from my home, no money in another country, and the only people I had just threw me out. So that's when a guy called Tonino, the connection to Tonino is very distant and random. That's the word. That's the best word to describe it. He's a guy that's the son of another old lady from the village of my Italian grandmother who they knew 50 years, 100 years ago. I don't know when. But Tonino came, it's like, I called him after I found his number, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to help you up, don't worry. He came, picked me up, and then I was there with a stranger driving, I don't know where. And then he took me to a beach restaurant. He owned a beach restaurant in the Silvi Marinari. Everybody should visit this restaurant once in their life because this guy is great. It's a family business, and they have a very kind heart. So Tonino took me in. He gave me like a room in the back of the restaurant. On the back of the restaurant, we had like the public showers and some toilets. And one of those doors was my new home. It was an iron door in a former toilet that now worked as a storage room with no windows, no ventilation, nothing. And I had like a small thing to put my stuff there, and that's it. You could not sleep there because of the...
You're basically telling us right now that this family threw you out, completely threw you out. A stranger that your grandmother knew came, picked you up from wherever you were outside of the city center of Italy. And this guy picked you up. He took you to his restaurant and he gave you a storage room to sleep in.
Yeah. Wow. And also he gave me, he prepared food. He let me eat food from the restaurant, from the quick section, the stuff that was ready. They welcome me. It's a complete stranger with no obligation to me. People in Italy are amazing. Like, even if you're homeless, you're going to make 200 friends in 10 seconds. And people are so nice. Only one who was not nice was my relative. Because the rest, everybody I met was amazing.
Italians have really, really great hospitality, honestly.
Except my relatives.
Except your relatives.
So, okay, so there I was on Italy. On a beach, I was sleeping on the beach, putting my stuff in the room, hanging around in the beach restaurant, helping.
But could you tell us why you were sleeping on the beach, though, since you had a room?
Well,
to sleep in.
The room became so hot. It's a room with no windows or nothing, and it was a toilet, right? So, and it became so hot that you could not even be there. So I just figured might as well just sleep on the beach and use it as a storage room for my bag and my stuff. So there I was on the restaurant, etc. I tried finding a job that made me go in a 24-hour round trip to the south of Italy to work in a resort, but it was like not a good job. So I ended up going back again into the beach. And I was doing some beach work with Tonino. I learned a lot about this. It's quite a heavy business to own. You need to open and close 300 beach umbrellas every day. You need to polish the sand with a rake. It's insane the amount of work that it takes to run a beach restaurant, okay? And then Tonino gave me the option to either continue hanging there without working for him, and I could do whatever I wanted. So that's when I had the initiative of starting a photo business. So I went, because I had my camera that I brought with me and my things, and I started taking photos of the tourists, like a resort. They didn't expect that in this part of Italy. It never happened in that beach. So I would take beautiful photos, incognito of them, having fun with their kids, and then set up a little stand for the people to come in the afternoon and see and buy the photos. And that's how I started making money. And look at the coincidences in life. I remember the first person I approached, super nice guy. Turns out that he and his wife own a big YouTube channel for language academies, and they were looking for somebody to help them make videos and take photos. So I ended up working a lot with them. So you never know what's going to happen when you put yourself out there, but you need to have the courage and go for it. That's it.
Right.
Well, so what happened is I started doing all of that, etc., making some money, and then we had a problem that the tourists were always the same. There were no new tourists there. It's a very local holiday destination with few international tourists. So it's like Italian families, they come spend a month there. So after I took a photo of every single person on the beach and everybody bought, there's like, who else I'm gonna take now, no? And that's when I saw the crisis coming again. I'm like, I didn't have so much money. I didn't know where to go forward. I cannot go backwards still. What do I do? And that was like one of the key turning moments of my life. When I was on the beach, I was a bit drunk already from the desperation. I was in the beach and I was praying, looking at the sky, like crying, like, God, what am I gonna do now?
Oh, wow.
And then I don't know why, after I calmed down, that day, it showed up a friend that I didn't see in 15 years, from high school. He left Venezuela when we were young. And I wrote to him my contact and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm homeless in Italy. I see that you're in Spain. Can you help me? Yes or no? Yes. Give me 1 week to figure it out how. Okay. And then I don't know how I take the money. I found a way, some extra. I got the ticket and boom, I'm flying to Barcelona. And the guy managed to host me with his brother. Okay, that I didn't even know he existed, and I ended up in a random place sleeping with this guy who offered me an extra room in some ghetto place in Barcelona. It was insane. So that's when the another part of the adventure starts. In that point, when I was in Spain, now I needed to figure out how to get the papers to work, right? Because even though you have an Italian passport, it's not like you can just go and take a job. You need something called the NIE, the Foreign Identification Number for all foreigners in Spain. Now, Spain it's quite difficult when it comes to dealing with the public sector and getting appointments or getting documents. So the first appointment I had was an appointment in 6 months for Barcelona. So what am I going to do? So I went and I booked another appointment where the mother of this guy who was hosting me lived in a village. And they got it for 2 months. Perfect. So during that time, okay, what do I do now? And that's when I started. I went to the casino Barcelona every night to play poker and grind, Now, I was trying to balance my financial situation, that it was tough until I found my first job in the FX industry for a call center, a sub-affiliate unit. And in that job, of course, I managed to close my interview on the spot, convince them to hire me. And
did you know anything about the Forex industry and you applied to an FX job?
Yeah, well, I didn't know it as well as I know it now after so many years, but at that time, because of just out of passion for the investing, trading, when I was a smaller kid, I was studying a lot about the stock market, about investments, about all of that, but I was just a poor kid in Venezuela with not even access to an international card to deposit money on a broker, okay? But I would just enjoy and study and play with demo accounts and MetaTrader for fun. So I did come with quite a bit of knowledge, which impressed the person on the interview, right? So that's how I was able to land the job, by showing him I could sell and also by showing him I had knowledge about what we wanted to sell. So that's how my job started, and I started becoming a closer, after all this intensive sales training and this next level brain bending tactics. Then they unleashed the wolf in me and I started selling nonstop, sell every day. Up until the point where I started growing a little, but I didn't make much money in the end, right? Because it was an external unit. It was not like an official broker. Then I said wow, I need more, right? So then after some change between companies, I was trying to figure out how to come to the place where there were more opportunities. And that's how I ended up relocating to Cyprus. I found a job offer for a company that said, come here to Cyprus, work in this position, customer support, we give you apartment, we give you food, we give you this, we give you that. Let's go. I didn't even know what is Cyprus, okay? I just knew it's an island, there is souvlaki, there is halloumi, there is beach, we speak Greek, and that's it. That's all I knew about Cyprus. I didn't know anything. So I just, okay, I don't care. So then I left everything behind. I took the offer. Boom, there I am on a plane. In a moment I like to call limbo. You know why I call it limbo? Because I'm not there and I'm not there. I'm nowhere, right? Imagine, I just left. My home is in Venezuela and it's inaccessible. So it's like I have no home. So I left everything behind in Spain. And in that moment, I'm on a plane going to somewhere where I have nothing also ahead of me. So where is my life? My life is on the plane. All right. World, all that I am is on that plane. So it's called the limbo.
You literally got so lucky because clearly you were sleeping on a beach. You then flew to Barcelona, someone who took you in to stay with him in his house. And you applied for a job in an unknown country. And they ended up wanting to fly you over to Cyprus to work for them. So that's insane.
Not even that. It's even better. So I learned that Cyprus is one of the best places in the whole world. Okay, really. So when I land, okay, Stefano, we send a car to pick you up, to take you party all night with us. Don't worry. And here we give you a little card, for you to spend in the bars and enjoy. And I'm like, bro, I was a slave in Spain. I was a slave. Okay, in Spain, there I was, like, Stefano. And now I come here, where I'm treated like a king because I speak Spanish. Can you believe it? Right, so that's that's a lesson from the book also. Always go where you're going to be treated best. For example, if you live in Spain and speaking Spanish is not special because everyone speaks Spanish around you, right, go somewhere else where speaking Spanish makes you highly valuable and you're going to be treated better.
Wherever you see a market gap, you should always be there or do something about it, always.
Exactly. So I ended up going to Cyprus, taking a new job in the company. But then after 2 months, I realized that I was not going to make any money. It was a great company, great structure. These guys were geniuses. I cannot get tired of saying it. Like, they knew how to treat employees, so they want to stay forever. But you will never make money. And I needed to make money, okay? I cannot just live comfortable. I needed to make more for all the responsibilities and the things I need to achieve in my life. So 2 months after I left the company, they were super nice to me anyways. I quit and they still let me stay in the flats, while I find something new. Great people. So then I found a new job in another company, but this company was struggling. They were not making too much money. It was like an old-fashioned mentality. They were not adapting to the new market conditions. Up until I found a job in another company as well, and that's where the adventure started. There's a company with a lot of promising potential future ideas, great product, great everything. And in that company, I grew as a salesperson, and then I managed somehow to convince the CEO to let me work in marketing on a very strange, unfortunate turn of events. and I then ended up working in marketing because I had a lot of artistic aims all my life, right? So I thought I should always work in something related to marketing. I didn't know marketing in the technical level, but as soon as they gave me the opportunity, I went. I swallowed like 20 books in 1 week, courses. I wouldn't sleep. I read. I auto-educated myself in like as fast as I could. And I started working in marketing in the company. And then I started learning so much from all these talented people from many places in the world. And then during that time of that company is when I was developing and building also my personal idea, my own project, which was the tradingbible.com, a financial education website, simplified finance. You know, nowadays the average person wants to go and learn about finance or Google some concepts, but then you go and it's like, what is short selling? That is when you bet against the stock in the reverse. And this, in the way to explain it is so complicated that people don't understand, right? So after seeing customers ask so many silly questions so many times and people always lost, and then looking at courses made by fake lifestyle, Lamborghini, dream sellers, and all this stuff, I'm like, well, somebody needs to do something simple and nice, you know? So that's where I focused on starting my own project. It was my side hustle. And then after this company finished, then I had a very uncertain time in my life, and because I still didn't have much money saved up, I was still hustling, struggling, but I wanted to gain some time to build my company. My Cypriot landlord saved my life at that time, okay? This guy is one of the best persons in the world. So turns out in that moment, when I moved to that apartment, right, in Limassol, I furnished it myself with a credit card. That is the best deal I could find, so all my stuff was there. I had little savings. I'm like, what am I going to do? And what am I even going to do with furniture and all this stuff, you know? So I talked to him, and he valued everything I had in the flat, and he even overpriced it on my favor and gave me like 3-4 months without rent.
Let me tell you something, Stefano. Even though you have gone through a lot of things throughout your journey, you have always been lucky as well with the circumstances that every time something is going to go to the shits, and it has, and shit has hit the fan, somehow the strike of luck is literally right next to you. Honestly,
thanks to this company that I was, the great company that was doing so well, learning and etc. I will tell you how an extremely fortunate fate and direction of events ended up helping me eat at that time in life. So in the company, he never confirmed it to me, but I knew it was him. In that company, on the first days I was in sales, I received an anonymous call, inbound call, okay? And when that person answered, he didn't know who he was on the phone. I was not going to let it go, okay? No mercy with me. So I kept the guy on the phone for like 20, 30 minutes, okay? He was trying to hang up, but I would make him laugh. I would fight, I would push back and forth, etc. That guy was the CEO making test calls, okay? And because of that call, is that then I started receiving requests on behalf of the company management to fly me out to different places to represent the company on international events. Because of those events and the travel expenses, I was able to eat because I was broke. If it was not because of that, I wouldn't have been able to eat during that time.
That's insane. Yeah. But what that CEO did to you is such a classic FX thing to do when they want to test their employees. But you know what? Kudos to you that you did obviously leave him on the phone, because that literally put food on your table, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, great guy, great teachings. That guy also helped me a lot. In part, thanks to him, is also the reason why I got so far, because thanks to the opportunities he gave me and the knowledge, he even like sent me courses to do or in many areas. Like, thanks to all the knowledge I sponged out of these people, is that I end up also building my own things later on. So, well, after this uncertain time and my Cypriot landlord helping me and being so nice to me, then I ended up in Ukraine, right, for 1 month. I had a girlfriend there at that time, so I ended up spending 1 month in a village in the middle of nowhere that had like 3 houses, 1 train that passed once a day, and only snow and me. I spent there some time, and then when I came back to Cyprus for a job offer that I had, I started working in this company, right? Salesperson, then came the pandemic, everything going to shit, and nobody knows what to do, and running with computers. We were very prepared in Cyprus, okay? Everybody was sending everybody home. The whole world was going to shit, and I was making as much money as I ever made in my life, actually. It was a very successful year.
And how were you making money, though? Was it because you were a salesperson within an FX company?
Yeah, I was a salesperson at an FX company at that time. Also, my own personal project started kicking off, started bringing more revenue from the website, from the affiliation programs that I had in the website. So a lot of money started coming. Well, a lot of money in that time for me, okay? Like, I mean, making $10,000 and saving 10,000, 20,000 euros, it's quite a lot of money for me.
Well,
I mean, life.
it still is. I don't know about you right now because obviously you've made more than 10,000, but that was a very good amount of money to have.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, yeah, it's not because I live in Dubai that I have a distorted reality. Like, we are also normal here. I was building my site. I was coding nonstop. I developed a passion from coding, doing all the courses possible in parallel while I was working in the other companies and doing everything. I started developing my own systems. I wanted to build my own things from scratch, learn about server management, AWS, programming server-side languages like PHP, etc. Then learn some Node.js and all of that. And I started building my own websites with a twist. It was nice content, was custom-built websites. During those times, I also, after this FX company, I ended up getting a job as a CMO for a crypto company, right? Building my own projects in parallel. I successfully closed an ICO. We raised $6 million, was a successful effort. Me and my team worked like mad people, insane what we did. And after I finished the ICO, I quit. I didn't like the direction that the company was going to go. And I said, I don't want to be here. So I just wanted to go my own way. And I continued with my own project, okay? We spent some time in Cyprus. I keep growing it, building it. Then there was a lot of romance, and thanks to a girlfriend I had in that moment. It was my birthday, and she's the one who said, like, Habibi, I'm taking you to Dubai, and she bought the 1 week trip for my birthday for Dubai. Thanks to her, I got to know this wonderful city. So when I landed here, I'm like, home, wow. And let me explain why. Maybe it's a prophecy written 1,000 years ago or something, but when there is clouds, I get sad. Since I was in Venezuela, I left the city called Maracaibo. It's sun, blazing hot, 40 degrees all year. Always blue skies, always this energy, this stuff. I always liked this kind of environment. I landed here, I felt home, strange, the energy, the positive. It's a city of statements. We have the Burj Khalifa, the super tall building, right? Well, Burj Khalifa is not a building. It's a statement, actually. It's a statement placed in the center so people know that any crazy thing you imagine is possible. We put it here to let you know that anything is possible. This is a desert and we built this here, okay? If this is possible, anything you want is possible here. So I fell in love with the place and I came back to Cyprus and then I became obsessed. I was obsessed, but it was still not the right time for me, right? I was still hustling, trying to build my website, trying to grow it, gain revenue, gain new customers, etc. And then came a very unstable period of my life. I was not ready to stay. I wanted to stay in Dubai, but I couldn't at that time. After 5.5 years or almost 6 without seeing my family. Imagine not seeing your family for all this time, suffering, going through hell alone, changing, growing from a kid into
of course.
Like, coming back to Venezuela. That was insane. Like, it's like one day I was talking to my mom and then the next day I pick up the video call and I see her and now she has gray hair, all gray completely, all white, like all life changed. I was always helping them, even during all my struggle. I was always helping them, sending money, doing the best I can. And finally, I made it back on time. It was a big point of honor for me because I was, I cannot deny it. I was afraid that they would die before I made it back,
Yeah.
It's a fear that you have. It's a complex fear. So there I go. I land in Venezuela, like not knowing what am I going to find. And when I land, I see my parents, my dog, everything. I have like this break. I have a breakdown in that moment. And then when I come into the house, I'm like, oh my God, the house was destroyed. Like wires hanging, no light bulbs, everything broken, no chairs here, no, this is a disaster. So there I start, oh my God, I go crazy. I become like the constructor. I start fixing, painting, running, buying, doing. And now the house of my parents is VIP, much better than my house in Dubai, okay? Like now they're living as comfortable and as beautiful as you can imagine.
I mean, wasn't that the goal anyway? Get out, make some money, help your family, and then help yourself too, and build yourself a home. That's the whole point of it all. Yeah. Even though you went through a lot to get there and do all of that. Great.
I ended up living a lot of crazy experiences then in Venezuela, and then came a very unstable time in my life. I was doing back and forth. I was Venezuela 4 months, then I need to rest, flying to Dubai, and then Venezuela again. And then during that process, I ended up listing my company, my website for sale, and I ended up successfully selling it for 6 figures plus. And after that time, that's when I made a decision and say, okay, I need a home. I need some stability. And the only place I trust in the world to actually put money is here, okay, for many reasons. And I ended up buying my first property here. But If there is a place I like to call home, that I feel safe and that I feel that I can trust, it's here.
In Dubai. Well, Steph, let me
Yeah.
tell you, your story is chaotic. You've kind of given us glimpses of what you have already written in your book. And I would love for everyone to obviously pick it up and read it because it's so, so interesting. Your life story is literally so interesting. It also needs to become a movie, honestly. But, you did go through a lot. And the whole reason of having this podcast is to bring people on who have gone through some tough stuff in their lives. And clearly you have. What is one takeaway that you could give to your readers who read your book and generally right now, like the listeners and the viewers on resilience? Because, you did cope with a lot of stuff. So how did you overcome them? And what do you think makes a resilient person?
So first is when resilience is not optional, right? Like, for example, when I have no option but to move forward or die, I'm going to move forward, okay? So, for example, if you're feeling depressed or sad or uncomfortable or etc., I have been through these feelings myself, Now that I'm doing well, I experience them more. When I was struggling, I didn't have depression, never, okay? So, when you're going through something complicated, put yourself in positions where it's not an option to give up, okay? That's the most important thing. And then your body itself will kick in and your survival system will get started. I assure you that the moment you start feeling the hunger in the stomach, you're going to find a way to eat. I bet you. Yeah.
100%. Obviously, I've just bought a house and I've just gotten married and a lot of money has gone out to vendors and banks and all of that stuff. So we came to a point where, oh my God, like all my savings are gone and what am I going to do now? And by the time I make money again, it's going to take me forever. And of course, that money that I had saved, lockdown helped me a lot to save because I wasn't going out, I wasn't buying stuff. And I was thinking to myself, how on earth am I going to save again? Like I had no idea. I'm an FX recruiter and it is a sales-oriented job and it's targets and everything. But when you do come into points where you have no option but to fight, that is what made me think, all right, you know what? Snap out of it. I have to get back into shape, back into work, make that money, that commission, everything. And I think the tough times in life is what makes us resilient. And like I said in the beginning of the podcast, was you're not born with resilience. It's something that you pick up along life's purpose, your life purpose. It's a skill that you pick up. And a lot of people...
You said a keyword, purpose. That's the most important thing in life. So I'm happy that you mentioned it because when you have a purpose and the purpose is higher than yourself, for example, I wanted to build a website to help people learn and to avoid scams, or I wanted to make money to help my family. I had a strong purpose, greater than myself. So that kept me pushing, kept me going. I need to help my parents. I need to do something. I cannot stop. Having a purpose is super important.
Super important. Another thing we were talking before we started recording, we were talking about success, both you and I, Steph, and you had said to me that success, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And that is so true. So you have to enjoy the journey up until you get to that point where you're trying to get to, because you had said that when you get to your destination, you won't be happy because you didn't enjoy your journey. And I love the advice you gave. So, Stefano, to finish off this podcast, of course, I want to thank you profoundly for coming on. I want to also let people know, our viewers and our listeners, that they can pick up Zero to Dubai, which is a real success story by Stefano Treviso. They can pick it up and order it on Amazon. You will love, love, love this book. It's chaotic, it's funny, it's sad, it's dramatic. He takes us through a journey through Venezuela, Italy, Barcelona, Cyprus,
Russia, Ukraine.
Russia, Ukraine. Yeah, I forgot. Like, you've taken us around the world. He tells us about, the beautiful women that he shares about them and how these women have really helped him succeed in life too. There is a lot of romance in this as well. It was such a great read. I hope our viewers and our listeners have too. Steph, I really do wish you nothing but success and health. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I loved talking to you. Really had a great time, and I cannot stress this enough. I love the podcast name. I just love it.
Thank you. Well, this is the Resilient Lounge. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you guys, and see you next week.